Okay, welcome to our lecture tonight. We're very excited, as usual, to be with you on Wednesday night. Wednesday night is our favorite night of the week, the Center for Entrepreneurship. We have two excellent speakers tonight. We have Kate Van Wagoner, who is building a really exciting new tech company that I think you're going to love hearing about. She's going through those early growing stages, and it'll be interesting for you to see what she's doing. And then Warner Trabert, her husband and partner, has built a very successful company in a unique niche of the auto industry. And Sydney Scally, our TA for this class, will introduce them in just 1 minute. Next week is our final lecture. It's our Shark Tank night. It's one of our very favorite nights. You're going to hear 5 student businesses that'll be pitched to a panel of judges and investors. And these are really exciting companies that have been built here at Utah State with our help. I think 4 of the 5 have revenue. They're doing really well. And they're going to pitch for money from the judges, and that money will actually be awarded next week. You get to see that whole process of how they present their business, which ones the judges like the most and why. And so it's, again, one of the lectures that you come to get credit for the class. So we hope you'll all be here next week and bring some friends. It's really a very interesting, fun, exciting night. Okay, before we go on, we'd like 3 of you to come up and tell us something that you learned from our speaker last week, which is Steve Palmer, who is an amazing entrepreneur and an Aggie who loves Utah State. I didn't realize that in the last year his company's grown significantly through acquisition, and you saw all the sites he has all over the world, so pretty impressive entrepreneur. So Sid is going to pick 3 of you to come on up here. So come on up. Don't be shy. Give us your name. One thing you learned from Steve Palmer, and you get the book, What Awesome Looks Like, okay? So let's start with you.
My name is Garrett, and last week I liked how he said, don't confuse what you do with who you are. And he talked about remembering your individual identity and holding true to that.
I'm Roberto. And I love when he told me about the team. That's pretty important to find a good team. And not just to find great talent, but also people you trust.
You stole mine. I also liked always be there for people in their lowest moments. It will pay dividends when they're going through good times, and it drives loyalty.
Okay, let's give them a hand. You can each take one of these books. Okay, Sid, come up and introduce our guests.
Okay, before I introduce our speakers today, I just wanted to go over the events that we're having for eWeek next week. So on Monday, we're going to be having trivia night. You can sign up with a different group of your friends. There will be prizes and food there. Tuesday, we're going to have sodas and seeds, so you can learn more about the seed program we have through the Entrepreneurship Center. On Wednesdays, Shark Tank night. Everyone has to be here anyway, so bring your friends. It's going to be so much fun to see all the different entrepreneurs we have here at Utah State. And then on Thursdays, our startup market that's going to be on the quad. And we're just going to have a bunch of different student-run businesses where you can buy their products, and we're also going to have free hot dogs there. So everyone just needs to pull up. Okay. So our speakers today, first we have Warner Trabert. He's the founder and CEO of Fleetly, a premier luxury car management company. Warner's from California, but calls Salt Lake home as he graduated from the University of Utah. With over a decade in the high-end automotive sector, Warner recognized a gap in the market and launched Fleetly in 2022 to provide elite vehicle care and concierge services. His passion for cars and commitment to exceptional service has positioned Fleetly as a trusted name in luxury car ownership. And Kate Van Wagoner is the co-founder and CEO of Stentiverse. Am I saying that correctly? Okay. And Kate is a Utah native, and after graduating from the University of Utah, started her career at Goldman Sachs before transitioning into back-end management and the design industry. Her passion for sports and education drives her vision at Stentiverse, where she is working to create impactful solutions that bridge innovation and community engagement. So please join me in welcoming Warner and Kate.
Hi, everyone. Thanks for having us tonight. Like Sydney said, I'm Kate Van Wagoner, and I am a co-founder and CEO of Steniverse. Steniverse, the name is probably what people are curious about. So Steniverse first comes from the company that I was hired by. It was a family office called the Stena Group, and Stena is the husband and wife's name combined, Steve and Jana. So that creates Stena. And then Verse was this idea that we had about 2 years ago. I happened to be at the Rose Bowl for the University of Utah, the football game, for the college playoffs, and I think that was in 21. And Cam Rising, for you football fans out there, got injured during that game. And the big question was NIL. And NIL is name, image, and likeness. And NIL is now that you can pay athletes in a collegiate level money to play for your university. So I happened to be with this gentleman on this trip, and we were brainstorming different ideas how you could fundraise more NIL money to get our big quarterback back to the University of Utah for the following year. And we were like, you know, there can only be so many donors who put in money to the athletics department. How do we create more revenue for the University of Utah? And that's kind of how this brainchild initially started. So over the next course of the first 6 months as we developed this company is we tried to figure out a way where the universities, doesn't have to just be University of Utah, where Utah State could own kind of software and technology in-house that they have been using and utilizing outside of the university. So we did a deep dive, and let me get this. I'm going to do this slide. We realized, and as you might know, when you go to a university, you are downloading upwards of 10 different apps just to function as a student or a faculty or staff member. There is not just one cohesive app that everyone can just download and then they can digest all the information that they might need. So you would be downloading Ticketmaster for tickets, you're downloading, Canvas for your school schedule, you're downloading, parking, all these different things. And we came up with this idea is we decided to digitalize and this kind of become the front door to all those existing apps. We wouldn't be replacing those apps, but we would create an app where if you were onboarded at a university or you wanted to work for a university, you just had to download one. And then depending on your personalization, you would retract all the information that you might need, whether you're a student athlete or you're an arts major or you work at the bookstore. Then you would digest that information that already existed. It seems like, why doesn't that already exist? But it doesn't. There's just so many different siloed technology platforms that people are using in the ecosystem of universities, and we were like, we should be the front door. And with that, we took a deeper dive into why you would want to be an all-in-one app. So you could have, all your student systems, your ticketing, your financial services in one convenient platform. So you could ultimately have banking on this app that you could, through, your app, you could buy tickets to a Utah Aggies game, or you could pay your tuition, or you could buy, lunch at the cafeteria. We want to try to integrate all the financial services, so any bank accounts, credit cards, rewards programs. That's a big, heavy one that I'll talk about later down the road. Specifically for students, student outcomes, it enables universities to reward positive student behaviors. So if, we found out that Garrett went to all home games for the football team, he would be awarded with, season tickets for basketball. You just kind of can do cross-marketing with this, and you can kind of trace and know what the student engagement is, and then, reward that behavior and get more active students in different areas around campus. Data-driven insights, it provides valuable information for the universities to know what their behavior is currently doing. Another thing that we thought this could be experienced is if you had the app. Right now, universities have, I think, I was working with President Randall at University of Utah. They had 30 different calendars for the University of Utah. So they had like a calendar for athletics, a calendar for humanities, a calendar for the nursing department, and just for campus and new onboarding. And we want to consolidate all those calendars. And then depending on who you are, by downloading the app, you get to digest that. So I would be able to know when there was a free concert happening on campus, but I'd also be able to know anytime there was an art show, just depending on who I am. Another thing is you can look at any sort of jobs that are at your university that are open. So any job searches, you can be on your app and you can say, oh, is Utah State hiring? You know, I'm an undergrad, I'm only taking 13 credits, but I need to work, and you can see that there is a job at the bookstore open for you, right? You can join the bike collective. There's tons of different things, and by having this app, you can kind of create events yourself. You can kind of create collectives and have people join, and then that can be your form of communication within them. I've already mentioned the key benefits for the students in the universities, just the data-driven for the university, the back end to know the behaviors, what are people doing, what they're not doing. It's great for students because it is seamless, it's easy, it's all encompassed, housed under one platform. So I did a pilot at the University of Utah this fall. So we engaged in a licensing deal with the University of Utah through the Center for Financial Technology. So this is a new center at the University of Utah. It's for fintech. So I went and kind of pitched this idea to the University of Utah, a little Shark Tank edition, and my company is being incubated through the University of Utah Center for Financial Technology. So with that, I was able to do a pilot with the University of Utah this fall, and the number one, the quickest way I could get downloads was through athletics. It's fast. A lot of people attend Utah football games, as everyone knows. So I ran this throughout the 2024 football season, this last season. I was able to integrate and bring Wi-Fi via my app to Rice Eccles Stadium. So I was able to partner with a company called Bolden, and Rice Eccles Stadium has not had Wi-Fi up until this last fall. I'm sure some people here don't attend the games or don't even know that, but we were able to, through our app, if you downloaded our app, you could have access to Wi-Fi in the stadium. Through that, you could order concessions, you could look at stats, you could, we hosted a fundraising competition. Who was the biggest Utah fan? We just wanted to get a massive amount of downloads the quickest we could, and we knew that we could do that through athletics. This is a picture of how the app looked when you would have a game day experience. It shows scores. You could join in-game experiences. We had a lot of virtual reality. These are all with separate partnerships that the University of Utah already had. So we were just API plugging it into our app, which is great. Our app doesn't replace companies or employees that are already doing their job. We just kind of plug it into one house, which is awesome. This is the data that I had just from the pilot this fall. I had 8.6 total downloads in the 8 home games that we had at Rice Eccles Stadium. We had 126,000 screen views. Peak daily uses was about 6,000 people. Average engagement time was 9 minutes and 21 seconds, which is huge in this day and age. Usually people stay on a screen for less than 10 seconds. So we had 9 minutes of people using our app, searching it. They're able to have their UID implemented within our app as well for digital ID, which we will. And then obviously the retention just kept going up. So right now, we have built the app to be able to house any university. So it's called a white labeling. So I've built the back-end technology where then if Utah State wants to come, we can do branding for Utah State, but it's still using the same back-end technology. So right now, we have the University of Utah. We're in the middle of onboarding Westminster. So this is what Westminster's looks like. We pulled it from their homepage. We've used all of their LMS systems, and this is what it looks like in the App Store. So this is the full different branding capabilities. This is what the U decided to use, and Steniverse, my company name, is all back end. So you would never see Steniverse anywhere. The university can choose what name they would like to call their app. So the University of Utah has decided on the one U. And Westminster is choosing their name. And as we go to different universities, we say, you can name this whatever you want. It'll just be powered by Steniverse. That way, it's a lot easier for adoption for any users to believe that the university is the one that owns that system, right? I have a video. Paige is we created a promo video that we shared every home Utah football game to get people to download the app and to engage in our campaign to find the biggest Utah fan.
Who am I, sir? A Utah fan am I. But I'm not just a fan here. I'm a fan of the #1 public university in the West. And I rally for the entire U. Like here, where we're a global powerhouse in medical research and quality healthcare. And here, where our #1 ranked gaming students are changing the game in virtual worlds. And of course, here, where our entrepreneurship and fintech labs are unrivaled.
Fans here, bicycles are an integral part of our gaming experience.
So if you're a fan of everything U, download the new One U app and enjoy exclusive access to events, breaking news, and even Bicycle Stadium's new Wi-Fi.
Can we get this guy in office already?
So who am I, sir? A Utah fan am I! Do you? Share the One U app, and you can compete for exclusive prizes and the chance to be crowned an ultimate U fan.
Hey, can I get one of these?
Why, yes, you can. Share the One U app and you can compete for exclusive prizes, all while helping to build the most connected fan base in the country.
Yo, my man.
So our current focus as we move into the spring season is we're trying to get more students incentivized by using our reward system. So then we can, with the University of Utah, pivot and understand where the holes are, where we can get more students to engage across the university. Obviously, there's a point system with the awards program, but what we also are trying to do, in addition to these points, is have digital IDs. So those are huge, and digital diplomas. So what we're trying to do is digitize everything, so then when you have this app, even after you've graduated, you're able to have your diploma on file, you're able to have your I-9 if you want to, apply for a job anywhere outside of the university. We want everything kind of encompassed with this app, and that way the university can also track you. A story that kind of brought us to the reason why we want to be able to engage with the students the way that we are is one of my co-founders. He worked for MasterCard for a couple of years, and he was out in New York City 2 summers ago, and he was at some sort of mix and mingle out in New York City. All these different banking companies were together, and he met a gentleman there, and he was like, "Hey, are you from Utah?" And he's like, "Yeah, born and raised in Utah." And he's like, "What about you?" And he's like, "Oh yeah, I graduated from Utah, and he's like, oh, what do you do now? And he's like, oh, I'm head legal for MasterCard. And he's like, oh, do you have any involvement with University of Utah? And he's like, I've never heard a word from them ever since I graduated. They never tracked me. They never want to know if I want to be a donor. They don't really ever know what I'm up to. And we looked into it, and the University of Utah, after you graduate, your email expires after 60 days. They just have lost complete contact with their students and anyone who went there. And so what we're trying to do here is keep, in your case here, if you're successful and run a business and you want to hire people and you want to give back to your school, you want Utah State to be able to know where you're working, and they want to be able to keep in touch with you and have you come back to these, entrepreneurial leadership series and be able to speak and everything like that. So there's this loss of communication, and there was just like this cutoff right after you graduated. And so we're trying to do that. Let me do this. And right now we're in the middle of development with a digital wallet. Like I mentioned, having your digital university ID on you, instead of pulling it out, we want to be able to, like you do Apple Pay, you can scan it and have your ID scan you into the buildings you need to, into your parking spaces, like you need to kind of anywhere on campus. Ticketing. Another big thing that we have been looking into is, from a university standpoint, is trying to replace Ticketmaster. And why that might seem like a big undertaking, right now Ticketmaster takes 15% of sales. And that is a lot of money. Just to give you an idea, 8 home games of football for the University of Utah, just a fee reduction from 15% down to 8%, which is what we'd want to charge, would save the university $1.8 million in just 8 games, just in fee reduction. We believe that universities should be a fintech themselves, that they should own their own ticketing platforms, that they should own a lot of the systems that they go out and procurement and go and buy. And so that's what we're trying to sandbox at the University of Utah. And then our goal is to go and hit the other universities within the state of Utah, and in hopes of having this be a Utah company that then when we go outside of the state of Utah, the money comes back in to the state and we all win. And that's massive. Like I mentioned, digital credentials, like a digital verification right now. I read somewhere statistically, when you walk into some offices of some people out in New York City, Manhattan in particular, framed diplomas, I think it's like 75% are not real, that people are just going out there and printing digital diplomas that they never really did graduate in. So we're trying to do degree verifications out there, easy for people to have, and there could be just a QR code that you can have in your LinkedIn, so people can just verify that you did go to that school, because right now the government is trying to lock in where people are saying that they've actually graduated and they never did. This is our team. I'm the CEO. I have a director and chairman, and my angel investor, which is Steve Smith. I have Brickton, Amanda, Sadir, Jim, Sam, and James, who are all phenomenal people. And if I could give any advice, you always want to, hire people that are smarter than you. So then when you do, I just took maternity leave with my 3-month-old baby, and I felt completely fine leaving my company and my team up to the rest of the members of my team. And now I'm going to give my time over to my husband. Okay, thanks, everyone.
Thanks for being here. I'm excited to chat with you a little bit about Fleetly and what we do. And but I want the overarching question, even if you're not in the entrepreneurship program, which I found out at dinner that most of you guys are not. So probably, I don't know, 50-50 probably. Think about what your why is. Why do you do what you do every day? And go deep on it too. Like, it's not just, oh, I do it because I have to, or I do it because I want to get rich, or whatever it is, it's okay, but just dive down the path, right? Like, this is the concept of Fleetly came about because I was going down the path of my why. And I'll explain more of that, but I want you to think about that the whole time as we talk. So Fleetly is a concept in a high-end car management business that was started in 2022. Sorry, 1 second here. And how I started was about, it was 2011, I started selling Audis. I was at Audi Porsche in Salt Lake City, and I was in the service department before that, just on my grind, going to school, like the regular thing that probably most of you are doing. I was paying my way through school, in the service department, detailing cars, just trying to figure out what I wanted to do with my life. Like, I didn't even know what I wanted to have as my major, and kind of going through the motions. And as I was cleaning cars, right, I was just a detailer and going to school. One of the general manager at the time came to me and said, you should really try selling cars. And I was like, car salesman? That's the least, are you kidding me? Like, you think I want to be a car salesman? Like, I did not look at that as a career, and I wasn't that excited about it, but I gave it a shot. And when I entered in the sales floor, I absolutely loved it. I was never a car guy. I never considered myself to love cars. I was a skateboarder, and that's all I did. I just loved skateboarding. And went through school and just did all this stuff and didn't even think about a career. Well, what ended up happening was I still didn't really care about cars at this point, but I loved the people that were coming in. They were you'd become like an advocate for them. You become a financial advisor, sometimes giving them advice on marriage, or like communication, like trying to figure out who's making decisions and how to best help this family. And I really gravitated towards that. And I was at Audi in Salt Lake City for about 15 years. And I loved it. I absolutely loved it. And it was hard work and a grind. And I didn't want to leave, guys. Like, I loved and was happy with my career, and I made good money for our family. And but what happened was I went through a divorce during COVID. I had 3 little kids, and really was devastating to me. Like, everything that I'd worked up towards and like really worked hard for and that I thought was important, money, right? Stocks, a home, the things that you think you want to aspire to, literally was gone in a snap of a finger for me. And I'd worked so hard up to this point. And then a couple months later, I'm sitting in a tiny apartment that I can hardly afford, and I have my 3 kids there, and I'm like, this is what I care about. It's just right here in this like small, so I need to figure out how to take care of these 3 kids that I have, now 4, but how I had these 3 kids at the time. And you know what? I realized at that moment that I'm not gonna care, and I'm gonna risk it all for what I want to do. If it can be gone that quick, what I thought was so important, all of these things financially, having security, having all of the stuff that I thought I wanted, I was only in my early 30s when I got divorced, and I realized, you know what, I'm going to go for it. I'm going to go for whatever I want to do, and I'm going to go with 100% passion and go full in. And so when I was there at the dealership, I would service cars for people at their home, office, the airport, and I would just do it. Sorry, 1 second. I would just do it as a free service if you were to buy a car from me. I'd come to your office, I'd grab your car, I'd service it, I'd pick it up from the airport. One day, I was picking up a client's car from the private airport in Salt Lake City. He was flying for business, and I saw like 30 cars on the tarmac, like Bentleys, G-Wagons, really expensive cars that you don't want getting snowed on. And they were just getting pummeled with hail out there on the tarmac. So I went to the pilot of my client and I said, who handles these cars? And why are they sitting outside? These are $300,000 cars are sitting outside. He goes, all these hangars that you see here for everything is only for planes. We have them insured for planes. We only handle planes. They're not even legally allowed to have cars in here. And so I told him to his face, and I was still working. I said, well, I'm going to open up a warehouse right down the street, and I'm going to take these clients in my warehouse, and I'm going to take care of their cars for them. And that's when it started. That's how it started. It was that quick. And I'd been working up for the client relationships, and I put in the work to know that this is a need because I've already been doing this and just not charging for it. But then I saw the extra need at the private FBO, and I said, we're going to take this and go with it. So I started as a side gig. And as I was doing it as a side hustle, if you will, I realized this is a legitimate business. I had about 4 clients at the time, only 4 clients, and I realized I was making good revenue. My margins are good. I was looking at everything as far as insurance and all the stuff that I needed to run a business. One of the clients that I had, one of those 4 or 5 that I had as the idea side business, just called me one day, and this was probably 6 months after I thought I lost everything important to me besides my kiddos, and said, let's go to lunch. And I went to lunch with him, and he just Shark Tanked me. I had no idea what I was going to lunch for, and he said, dude, I love this concept. Let's take it. Let's go with it. Here's some money. It doesn't always happen that easy, guys. I'm just giving you a heads up, but it was just the natural way of going with the flow of how things were taking in my life. And he offered to invest in the company, become a partner with me, and we just started pumping them out, like pumping the cars, getting them in storage, servicing cars, connecting with airports, and doing all the things to get this company started. So let me just go through this. I've talked and haven't clicked, which is pretty typical of me. So let's see here. Oh, this is just a little bit about me. We already kind of went through that. But I was 15 years at Audi. My experience is really with high-end clientele. This is what we do as far as what we really nailed down. When I made that connection, we had to pivot probably 7 times. It was not a perfect thing. We had to figure out where we fit in the market. I found the need. I saw a small need in Salt Lake City, and I said, this is a bigger need, and I started doing some research. So it's a club mindset, right? It's high-end storage management for vehicles, just like property management, but for vehicles themselves, usually in conjunction with travel schedules when people are traveling frequently to second, third homes, or just to Hawaii with their family or business. Here's the demand that I did when I did the research. This is what I found. There's a massive demand for this. And you know what? Right now, you can buy anything easily. Who bought something on Amazon this week? Amazon Prime. Was it easy? I mean, I'm on Amazon Prime every day, but what was it easy, right? It comes right to your door. You get a Tesla, it comes right to your door. You buy anything, you can get groceries, it comes right to your door. You go buy a car, it's like being rolled through the mud and you just want to give up, right? Well, I buy cars for people. I sell cars for people. I'm a broker too. We do all of the inconvenient stuff. We deal with insurance. I was just at the DMV. My clients take care of title work for these individuals that don't want to deal with it. No one wants to deal with cars when you're on your vacation or you're at a second home wanting to ski or bike. So that's why this fast-paced business really focused on business individuals or families that travel frequently. And here's our current traction. It's kind of grown since I put this together. We're at about 550 clients right now and 50 total under regular reoccurring subscriptions just in our Salt Lake location. We also have a location in Heber, which does Park City, Heber, and Midway, which we just opened up 2 months ago. So that's going to be a big operation. And that's the 26,000 square feet we just opened up. So that's a really huge location that we're really excited to get going. This was really interesting when I was doing my research, which I recommend for all of you that are thinking about starting a business. Really dive deep and spend the time on this. Spend time doing your analysis, this is the whole country, guys. This is what really my competitors in the whole country are two other companies. Sun Valley Auto Club and Freedom Valet Park. Those are the two closest companies that I could find that does sort of what I do. Valet, right? They'll take your car. Sometimes Miami has valet at the airport. They'll take your car for sure. They'll valet it for a large amount of money. Well, we'll valet it at the airport at Salt Lake International, and we'll detail it, and we'll service it, and we'll register it, and we'll get your title work done if you want, and we'll fill it with gas, and we'll meet you at the curb. So that's where we really exceed a lot of these other only two competitors that we've really found in the country. So there's three things that I've really learned that I wanted to share with you guys that are thinking about going into business, and I have some stories attached to them. I hope that's okay. But actually, before I get into that real quick, just the process, because it's probably confusing on how we actually operate day to day. So let me just go through that before I get into the stories. Our day-to-day process is I've got a team of about 7 in Salt Lake. I've got a team of about 2 in Heber. If you are going out of town, our app is almost finished, and you can just ping the app and just say, pick me up at the airport, or pick up my car at the airport. We meet you curbside, you bring your car, and you leave, and you tap what you want done on the iPad. We do those items while you're gone. When you come back, your car's ready to go. We have a home and office package where we'll come to your home or office and do the same thing. So if you're busy working, if you're working in a tech job and you don't want to leave the office, you can just ping the app and say, I need a gas fill up and a detail. My team will come to your home or office and do those items for you while you're working. Just like a high-end Amazon or Uber experience for vehicles. If you're just sick of dealing with cars, you have a rock chip repair, we'll come do it mobily for you. These are all done under our almost finished app, which has taken me a long time because it's very complex because of multi-territory. That's been our biggest hang-up. We are developing an app to be multi-territory, so communicate with Orange County. When you drop off your vehicle at Orange County Airport, John Wayne, it's communicating to have your car ready in Salt Lake City. That's been very difficult with zip codes and so forth. So that's the reason it's taken us about 2 years to build this app, but it'll be very, very in-depth and dropping in probably the next couple of months. So what we've really focused on is having key partnerships, which we talked about at dinner. These are the partnerships that we're working with right now. Salt Lake International Airport, I've got the pilot valet program with them. So I operate legally, which a lot of people don't, at Salt Lake International Airport, where we meet people on the curb, shake their hand, tune skis, tune their bike, do what they want done on their vehicle, whether they're gone to Florida, Hawaii, whatever they're doing. When they fly back, it's ready to go. Park Meadows is a club up in Park City. It's a great club, by the way. If you want like golf, go there. We detail cars mostly and manage the club members there. Sea2Ski is a property management company, and Sea2Ski is high-end management for properties. We pitch them to our clients that are buying homes here, and they pitch us for their clients that are buying homes here that are second homes or third homes. Don McKenna Group is also a property management company. OK3 Air is the private FBO, which is fixed-based operation in Heber, and then Promontory in Park City. Most of you guys have probably heard of some of the clubs in Park City, but we're really trying to grow within the club community of like Victory Ranch, the Colony. These are all Park City clubs that are high-end for golf, for biking, and so forth. So this has taken a lot of work, guys. The partnerships are not something easy. We've established these over a long period of time. I find out, hopefully, this next week if I got my official RFP, which is the request for proposal, to be the official valet vendor for Salt Lake International Airport for a 5-year contract. Right now, we've just been doing the pilot version. This will be the official. We'd have all of our signage up, at Salt Lake International, our own pull-up space, 8 stalls, and my team would operate there 24/7. And I should find out hopefully this week. That's what we've been waiting on for a long time. So as you probably can tell from what I've been saying, I love cars and I love the industry I'm in. I'm very passionate about people though. I love figuring out what the need is. There's literally no one that's doing this right now. And there's tons of mobile vendors. There's not a management or a concierge team that will take care of vehicles for you on your behalf. So we do everything from stepping up on trades to giving proposals for consignment deals, rock chip repairs, wheel refinishing, detailing, and the whole 9 yards of what you need done. The important thing that you kind of see how this grew, but the important thing I really want to talk about is kind of what I've learned through this process, because it's been a lot of letting go for me through my journey of kind of just figuring out what's really important to me. And I really, really feel like because of what happened is why I was willing to risk it all and say, let's go with this concept and let's move. And right when I did that, guys, everything opened up to me. Like 6 months later, I'm having a investor meeting at lunch that's opening up a warehouse in a couple of months, right? It just all happened, chop, 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 chop. And it was right when I said, I'm going to do this. Let's go for it. I'm going to give it 100% and let's do this. When I was with Audi, I was about 12 years in, and they said, we're going to have you just each week at the sales meeting, they'd say, we're going to have someone highlight what they've learned. And because I'd been there a long time, they said, why don't you share the most important thing that you've learned in this meeting to everyone? And so I thought really hard on it. And when I got to the meeting, I said to the team at the time, I said, I love when things go wrong and got everyone's attention. I love when something happens wrong with the vehicle. When someone buys a car and you get cash for it, you get paid your commission, and they drive off and they get a flat tire, I absolutely loved it. Most salesmen wouldn't answer the phone call. I loved it because the second I do that for them, after they know I've been paid, they're a client for life. Do you think they're going to give my number to their kids? Probably. That's how you lock them in. You do stuff when they know you're not getting paid. And that's really, it's the same thing with a skateboarding analogy that I had. I used to do little small competitions when I was growing up. And you'd plan out your whole route, right? You go to the park and you plan out every single thing you want to do in a perfect run. And you drop in to go do your first trick and you'd fall on your first trick. What do? Do you pick up and do you pivot? Do you freak out and collapse? Do you mess up on all your tricks because you know that it's over? No, you planned for perfection, right? When something happens, you pick up your board and you go do the next trick. And it might be a different route. We had to pivot probably 7 times, but that doesn't mean that it wasn't the right thing to do. So both those stories, the Audi story on the salesman and the skateboarding story, are just saying one thing. Be okay when things go wrong, and really see it as an opportunity to show the client, friend, or whatever situation it is that you care and can go above and beyond for them, even when you're not getting paid. That will create a trusted client for life. Our retention rate's 98%, just to give you an idea. The only clients that I've lost is because they sold their vehicle. I have not lost a client because they did not like what we provide. And that's because of what I'm mentioning. And lastly, we talked about this briefly a little bit before this, but I am very passionate about the concept and my mantra of people first and money follows. If you do the right thing by people, if you always do the right thing, even if you're in the wrong. 2 days ago, I had a defender in my warehouse that claimed that we did something to their car. I have video footage that we did not. I could call them and be like, we didn't do that. They've been a long client of mine. Instead, I called the vendor of mine and got it fixed and didn't even tell her that it wasn't us that did it. She had had the car for a week after we'd given it back to her. I just repaired it and moved on. Because that client is more important to me than $200 at that moment. Who they know, who they're going to tell, the trust that we're building, that's more important to me than a little scratch on a vehicle. And that's why we're able to retain and keep our clients happy all the way through. And so when I went down my why, I figured out my why is not to be rich or not to do any of the traditional things that I thought initially. It is to help people. And I know it seems funny dealing with high net worth individuals and all these high end stuff, but I love people and I love taking care of those people. This is just a niche in the market that allowed me to do that I found through my business that I was already in for a long period of time. So I'm going to ask you guys one more time, and hopefully you can write it down. What is your why? And dive into it. And that will lead you the right way. Thank you so much, guys. Appreciate it.
Okay, we're gonna have a quick Q&A session, if you guys have the time for that. But does anyone have any questions?
Sorry. This is why you need a wife. She said you need to blow your nose. Keep you in line. Any questions?
Right here.
Yeah. Here, King.
I guess that you do deal with high net worth individuals, and it may be hard to get partnerships. How did you get the first one?
Yeah. The first one I went to, and I approached them through a detail client of mine, and that was actually Park Meadows Country Club. I met the GM there and just had a conversation with him. And then I offered to detail cars, which is not my main business, right? This is a lost leader for me, really. I offered to detail cars at the women's clinic golf tournaments that they have once a week. And I know that there are tons of cars there during that clinic or whatever league. And so I set up my team there with big signs, and whenever they'd have their women's league, my team would clean cars all day long and pass out cards and give them literature on what we really do, because the majority of those homes are second homes. And that's how it started. And it was definitely something that didn't make us a lot of money, but it's a lot of the reason why we have a lot of clients today, for sure.
For outsourcing for your applications, did you outsource any of that, or was that all done with people that you hired?
Yeah, we've actually used the same
Oh, yeah.
for both of our apps. We have engineers out of Atlanta and Costa Rica who've been working on both of our apps. My app was, because it's mostly API plugin, was built within 9 months. I got lucky. Warner's is on year 2, almost 3, building his app. But yeah, we've outsourced them. But my CTO is here in Utah, but we typically have our engineers out of an office in Atlanta, and primarily the bulk of our engineers are in Costa Rica. Yes.
Really good question. Yeah, really good question. We keep detailing in-house. Most of the reason why is because I want to control sales. All my guys are salesmen. I pay them way more than I should pay a detailer because they're salesmen. They pitch everyone, right? So detailing is in-house, and the management and advocacy at dealerships and dealer bodies we do. But everything else, I have just built up relationships over a lot of years with people that do mobile tire repair, mobile everything. So I've got a long vendor list that I've worked very hard to get, and that they trust me. And most of them have a wholesale to retail spread. So they'll charge me wholesale and I'll charge my client retail. So not only will I make the management fee per day, but I will also make the spread from wholesale to retail with that vendor. So I have a lot of vendors I work with, but with dealerships, it's a lot more difficult. I go straight across through the dealerships because I want transparency more than anything with cars. People don't trust car dealerships and doing business with cars in general, right? So I charge straight across to the client for what they get. I don't make a margin on car servicing at a dealership for like a regular 70,000 mile service. I just charge my management fee, or they're under subscription with me as a separate line item. That way, if they look up their Carfax or they look at something else, they can see it line up exactly, and they're not like, why did you charge me that much or mark it up so much? So it's kind of, we do the detailing in-house. We've got a lot of vendors and dealership work. We're still working to partner with a couple dealerships right now. So I think Porsche Salt Lake City is on the brink, so.
No, I actually, I don't have a background in tech. After I worked at Goldman Sachs for a handful of years, I worked for a high-end architecture firm, and I did all their back-end stuff. So how I describe it to people in a design industry is you look out into a pond and you see a beautiful swan, and I was the legs underneath that you could never see. So I did a lot of back-end stuff for that firm. So then when I spoke to the gentleman about doing Steniverse, he has a background in fintech. He had a company that he sold to MasterCard. It was called Finicity. So it was one of the first fintech companies that had a massive exit in Utah back in 2020. So he had the fintech background, but since being incubated in the Center for Financial Technology, which you can end up getting a degree in a third of engineer, a third in law, and then a third of the School of Business. It's kind of a really cool degree, this fintech. I've grown to love the financial development of creating the app. But no, I'm not an engineer by any means.
Yeah.
How are you able to build high level of trust in the beginning with these clients?
Oh man, it takes time. A lot of them are clients of mine at Audi that have already seen what I do, Audi or Porsche. So I've already had that opportunity, but I think it goes back to the story of doing the right thing, like not hoping things go wrong, but when things go wrong, be there, right? Be quick to make phone calls that are nasty, that are hard to make. It's so hard to make the hard calls, like people wait and wait or give it to someone else to call or try to push it off. Make the call, even if it's hard. Like we had delays in car manufacturing for a long time with COVID or whatever. And I'd see salesmen just push it off to the general manager to call. Like, no, you want to be the guy. You want to be the guy to give good, bad news and everything. You want to be on top of it, transparency. You want to do all of those things to build trust immediately. And when something goes wrong, also step up. Don't wait a day or two to respond. Tell me you're going to take care of it and step in. That's how you build trust, usually when something's wrong. It's really easy to buy something. It's very hard to get someone good to take care of you after. Have you ever sat on phone with someone trying to get help, customer service? It's really easy to buy that product. It's really hard to take care of it, to get a warranty claim. That's why my business is going to work, is because we are just back end. We are just the back end. We're going to take care of this person because it's very difficult to, with majority of how the world's working with the cars right now.
Also for Kate, what qualities are most important to you for a company culture?
Yeah, company culture qualities. I kind of said this earlier for the smaller group that we had dinner with, but other people's success is not a failure to you. I think surrounding yourself with successful people is not threatening. I think creating a culture, like I mentioned when I showed kind of my org chart, is I hired a lot of really smart people because I know that I can learn from them. I don't need to feel like I'm the smartest person in the room or I need to have control. You are the sum of the people you spend your most time with. So creating a culture of hardworking people is great. And also, when I was working at Goldman Sachs, we would look at resumes, and there would be a resume with someone with a perfect, background, high GPA and everything, and we'd always, scan down to the bottom of the resume and see if they had leadership opportunities or if they did volunteering or if they were involved with their school or community, because that shows, the EQ in people. That shows that people actually have people skills and that they have emotional intelligence. Is that I can put someone in front of a keyboard and they could be really great at their job, but they could never in a million years, train someone below them. They could never be accommodating working in a group. And so I always think you hire the right person and they will figure out the job. I think anyone here could do anything that they wanted to do. You just kind of have to have relentless belief in yourself and you just figure it out. And so with building a culture, I think when hiring my team over the last 2 years, I looked for people who I know that I didn't need to sit down with and hand them a manual. I knew that they'd have confidence to turn to someone and say, how do I log into the computer? And they wouldn't be embarrassed by it. Or have someone who would go home and they would research whatever we're working on and they'd come back and be like, I had no idea what we were doing, but this is what I found out. But if I'm hiring a specific skill set, it kind of closes the door on wearing multiple hats in a company, especially a startup, is you kind of have to just hire and want to retain gritty people who can wear multiple hats. I do a lot of things in my job today that I was not trained to do, but I've had to just figure it out. And I've come to realize that everyone is doing the same thing. Everyone's just figuring it out.
Okay, can we give a hand for Kate and Warner?